In the Islamic Republic of Iran, a mom was exasperated with her son. The family fought all the time. She didn't know what to do. But one day, her son's behavior completely turned around. This mom told the story to Dr. Hormoz Shariat.
She said, suddenly I saw my son calm down. Suddenly he was respectful to us. He wouldn't get into family fights. Suddenly his grades got better. His room got better. He came and helped me in the kitchen. Then one day I was just in his room cleaning a little bit, and I saw a Bible under his mattress.
Jesus never promised his followers an easy path. In fact, he told his disciples that the world would hate them. He sent them out as sheep among wolves. Jesus' words came true in the life of the apostles, and they're still coming true today in the lives of his followers around the world. Join host Todd Nettleton as we hear their inspiring stories and learn how we can help. Right now on the Voice of the Martyrs Radio Network.
Welcome again to the Voice of the Martyrs Radio. My name is Todd Nettleton. We are in our studio today in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, with a guest who has been with us before. Dr. Hormoz Shariat is the president of Iran Alive Ministries. He is the author of a book called Iran's Great Awakening, and he has been broadcasting the gospel into Iran via satellite television for 23 years. Dr. Hormoz, welcome back to Voice of the Martyrs Radio.
Well, thank you for inviting me. There's so much happening, which I pray it will encourage your audience.
We are going to be encouraged, and we're also going to equip people to pray, especially for what is happening in Iran, because as you say, there is so much happening there. You have said Iran is no longer an Islamic nation. And I look up, on the World Factbook or online, and the official name of the country is the Islamic Republic of Iran. So you better explain that to us. How can you say that Iran is no longer an Islamic nation?
Well, when I said that, because of my experience, I'm working with the people of Iran daily. I'm in touch with them. I evangelize them. I answered their questions. So I came up with that about 5-6 years ago, saying Iran is no longer an Islamic nation. And I got such a negative reaction. I said, are you crazy? Just Google. Iran is 98% Muslim. I said, I know, but I don't see that. Now I'm bold. Why? Because there was a very scientific survey research done by 2 university professors 2 years ago. They asked over 50,000 Iranians, what do you believe? And can you believe it? Less than one-third said we believe in Islam.
Wow.
So Iran is no longer Islamic nation. So you say, how about the rest? Another one-third said either God is not relevant to my life, is not important, or there is no God. And the last one-third were looking all over the place. They were looking at New Age religions, Eastern religions, all kinds, and Christianity, of course, but everything but Islam. They're not looking for Islam.
How much of a role did the government play in that number? Because, we think back to 1979, the Islamic Revolution. The government has said for the last 40 plus years, we're going to do everything according to Islam. We're going to run the country exactly how the Islamic teachings tell us to run it. And here we are, and less than a third of the people would still say, yeah, I believe Islam is real. What are the factors that have led to that?
It's over 40 years of Islamic rule. Iran is the only country in the world led by clergy, Islamic clerics, and that for over 40 years. So, as you mentioned, they did implement Islam. In every aspect of life, if we know about Islam, it's not just the religious laws, it has political laws, it has personal laws you have to follow. Pardon me, I have to say, they have laws for your bedroom, they have laws for your bathroom. So it invades every area of your life. When I say Iranians have rejected Islam, they know what they're doing. It's not an overnight emotional reaction. They have experienced Islam, and they have studied it, they have looked at it. It's deliberate that we don't want Islam. That's not only I say that, Todd, I say Iran will never be an Islamic nation. The hatred, the rejection of Islam is so wide and deep that people are not coming back to it. Actually, I read people's blogs. These are by name Muslims. I want to know what they think. and more I see people of Iran, again, by name Muslims, they write, to have a future for Iran, we have to get rid of Islam. They're militant against Islam.
Wow. Amazing transition that we see happening in Iran. For the last year, what we've seen in Iran on our news coverage has had to do with the protest. The young lady was arrested. She died in police custody, and protests broke out everywhere. How widespread were the protests, and what kind of led up to that? And what does it mean for the country to see people all over the place marching in the streets, as you said, shouting slogans against the government, shouting slogans even against Islam? What does that mean in kind of the big picture?
Well, people want change. They have seen Islam. They have seen the worst of Islam. They saw the best of Islam, which I don't know how good it is. So they were using the word best. But they have taken a 40-year spiritual journey. In the 80s, the people of Iran saying, oh, Islam is the way. That's when I came to Christ. I was witnessing, and I got so many backlashes. Oh, you're a traitor. You rejected not just the faith of Islam, but you're a traitor to your own country. So in the 80s, right after the revolution, people were so committed to Islam. They were saying Islam will take over the world, and they were ready to die for it, and many of them did in Iran-Iraq war. So gradually, in the 90s, more intellectuals questioned Islam, and then the middle class started questioning Islam. And the last few years, that's why we see a surge in the number of salvation is this. The last few years, the government of Iran has lost the support of that 20 to 30% that used to support them. These are the most religious who support Islam, support the government. They are the ones who are coming to Christ right now. The last year, have had so many testimonies of people saying, oh, my uncle, he was such a religious, fanatic Muslim. He wanted to turn me in. 6 months ago, he wanted to turn me in. Now he's a Christian.
How significant is it that this has been a protest around women? I mean, a young woman is killed. That sort of launches the protest. The protesters are shouting women, life, freedom. Why is that so significant within the context of Iranian culture?
Yeah, that's a historical movement led by women. I mean, they are at the forefront. Now thinking why it happened, because women are the most oppressed in Iran and in Islam in general. But in Iran, the Islamic faith is into the law. It's by law that women are being discriminated against. So, and we know our beloved Jesus, he gives grace to the oppressed. He came to set the captives free and the oppressed. So I'm not shocked that he gives us extra grace for the women. And they don't have much to lose. And when they come to Christ, they gain so much. They gain the Holy Spirit. They gain value. They become daughters of the Most High King, and they become so activated to come up. So this is what we did. Okay, there are women, life, freedom. I did a series of sermon messages on that. The value of women in Iran. But the women are so oppressed. They're on streets. You want to kill me? Kill me. I don't have any future anyway. Wow. I don't have any value. They started 5 years ago. They started this thing. It was not just last year. It was 5 years ago. They started coming on streets without the covering to tell the government, you cannot control my clothes. You cannot force me to wear what you want me to. And some people don't get the significance of it. The battle right now, at the front line of the battle, is the covering. And people don't get it. They say, oh, so what's the big deal? Okay, the government says, put on your covering. Put it on. Why do you fight?
Right. Why would you lose your life over that?
Over that. The issue is bigger than the covering. It's all the freedoms, but it starts with the covering. If you can be free from your wearing clothes, then you will have other freedoms after that. And you know what? The government of Iran knows that. Mm-hmm. They know that if they give in to the demands of the covering, Islamic covering, if they back off, the people will demand more.
Yeah.
They will demand more. So they're very hard line standing against the covering. It has become the main issue. But it's not the main issue. The people of Iran want change in every area. But the government knows if we give in, they're going to ask more. So let's do that. And they pass laws. They know they should not back off the covering laws. So they have passed laws that if we catch a woman without cover, they get 10 to 20 years. Did you know there are women in jail right now? They have been there for several years just because they took off their covering.
It's mind-boggling for us to even think about that. We're talking this week on Voice of the Martyrs Radio with Dr. Hormoz Shariat. He is the president of Iran Alive Ministries. You mentioned the number of people in Iran that would say, I'm not a Muslim anymore. Whatever I used to be, I'm not a Muslim now. We know the church is growing very fast. Are those people seeking other religions too? Are other religions growing, whether they be cults or other non-Islamic religions? Are people flocking that direction as well?
Every direction, unfortunately, yes. They have rejected Islam, but they don't know what they want. They're looking. New Age religions are attractive. No religion is very attractive, very secular, saying we don't want religion. Our own mind, my own philosophy of life, my own definition of morality is better than mullahs. And you know what? They're right.
Yeah, so they've come to the point of saying, well, if this is what religion has done for 40 years, we just want no religion. We want nothing at all.
Yeah, that's the number one decision of people of Iran. If there was a referendum today in Iran, majority, maybe even over 90% will vote for secular democracy. They don't want religion in the nation. Some of them even are saying no religion. They're anti-religious. But most of them say, yeah, religion, but it's personal, not in the public place.
Typically in an Islamic context, if someone leaves Islam, we would talk about them being persecuted kind of by their family or by others, like you're an apostate, you left Islam, that's terrible. It sounds like from what you're saying, that's not really true in Iran. Like if you leave Islam, everyone's like, oh yeah, I can see why you did that.
That's so true, Todd. Iran is different from other Islamic nations in several ways, and one of them is that in other Islamic nations, persecution usually comes by friends and family members, not in Iran. The persecution comes from government, and even with the government, it's not religiously motivated. It's not that the government official says, oh, Islam is the correct way. Why did you go? Come back to Islam. No, it's a political. We're losing power. So as you shared, this is amazing in Iran. When somebody comes to Christ, rarely you see persecution family. Very, very rare. Most often, the rest of the family either come to Christ or they say, good for you, I'm not interested. But
I'm happy you found something.
Yes.
Which is, like you say, is so unique in the Islamic world.
That's right.
Does that make it easier for you as you're evangelizing, that you don't have to worry about your family freaking out about this because they don't like Islam either? So it's not as big of a hurdle to become a Christian?
The beautiful work of the Lord in Iran is not that, people come to Christ, they pray sinner's prayer and the numbers are growing. It's not an easy believism. And in the West, sometimes we say, just repeat this prayer, you become a Christian, and there is no life change in them. In Iran, if you become a Christian, you may pay by your life. So it's very serious. Now, we talk about miracles. There are many miracles happening in Iran, but I think the greatest miracle is when somebody's life is changed dramatically overnight. And everybody around them, they notice that. You used to be angry, used to be disrespectful, used to be suicidal. What happened? This was 2 days ago. I see you're happy. The parents say, you used to be so disrespectful to me. Now you're calm. Let me share this story. This family, the woman called me and I said, how did your family come to Christ? He said, through my son, 12-year-old son. Did he share the gospel with you? No. What? Did he become Christian and share the gospel? No. So tell me what happened. She said, I have 2 kids. They will get involved in the fight, take sides and all. It's just no peace, no joy in our family. But suddenly I saw my son calm down. Yeah. Suddenly he was respectful to us. He wouldn't get into family fights. Suddenly his grades got better. His room got better. He came and helped me in the kitchen. When somebody comes to Christ, we teach them on our channel, this is how you treat people around you. If you're a child, this is how you treat your parents and help with the housework. So she said, I went to him. I said, are you okay? Should I take you to a psychologist or something? And he said, no, Mom, I'm okay. And wouldn't tell me that he's a Christian. Then one day I was just in his room cleaning a little bit or trying to change the sheets, and I saw a Bible under his mattress. And he was underlying some verses. Now he is reading the Bible. He might be Christian. So my son came home. I confronted him. I said, "Are you a Christian? I found the Bible." Okay, yeah. I'm reading the Bible. No, tell us what happened to you. He said, I'm afraid to tell you. Would you kick me out of the house? No, we like what you see in you. Well, I became a Christian. One night I was staying home and I watched this channel. I prayed to receive Christ and my life has changed. I contacted them. They sent me a Bible and now I'm reading the Bible. He said, which channel? Where? Okay. He said, we watched your channel and we all came to Christ through my son. Without even saying. He wasn't even afraid to speak up, but his lifestyle. Our leaders in Iran saying, there are so many Christians. One of them was saying, I went to a store and just unknowingly I was whistling, humming a Christian song. I wasn't even singing. And the store manager said, you're a Christian. How do you know? Because I know that song on the satellite channel and my wife is a Christian. This is how we started a church in a new town. We had this guy, they would go and prayer walk and go to shops and pray to look for opportunities to share the gospel. So one of our leaders in a new city was going to shop and just whistling or humming a song, and the store owner said, I recognize that. I've heard that on Christian channel. Are you a Christian? He said, well, yes. And he said, my wife is a Christian. She came to Christ through your channel. Please come home. She's so alone. She would be so happy to meet you. Could you come to our house tonight? And we will have you dinner and we will get to know you. Come to my house. So our leader said, okay, this is a new city. Didn't know anybody. He said, I went for dinner to their house. They had 12 other people have invited. It reminded me of Cornelius, he said, all their friends, he said, tell them about Jesus. So
all right.
He said, I shared the gospel that night at dinner with their friends, and 6 or 7 of them came to Christ. And that was how we started our first house church in that city.
Wow.
That's what it said.
Instant house church.
Instant house church. The same with the taxi driver. Some of our leaders take taxi. So we shared the gospel with the passengers and taxi drivers. And they said many times the taxi driver is already a Christian. So like the other day, I sat in a taxi. I was just thinking how to start sharing the gospel with him. And he boldly comes and says, are you a Christian? I'm a Christian. Let me tell you. I mean, so, how come you're so bold? You're taking so many passengers. If one of the passengers turn you in, you'll be in trouble. He said, well, I have been turned in a couple of times the last year. So what do you do? How come you're out? How come you're driving taxi? And taxi driver said this story. He said, yes, last year I was dying of cancer, very advanced stage, and my doctor sent me home. I was dying, and I had asked the Islamic leaders to pray for me, Islamic saints to pray so I get healed. I didn't. I was dying. And then one night Jesus came to my dream and said, my son, you are healed. And he said, I got up. I saw Jesus full of light. And he says, my son, I went to the doctor. He said, you're healed. You're healed of your cancer. So the taxi driver said, this is what I do. Every passenger I tell them about Jesus, how Jesus healed me. When they arrest me, I have an answer. So they won't put me in jail. So what is your answer? How come you're not in jail? When they arrest me, which I have done a couple of times, I tell them, it wasn't my fault that Jesus came to my dream. He came. It's his fault. I didn't ask. He just came and he healed me. And now I'm just telling people that Jesus came to my dream and healed. I'm not telling the lies. I'm just telling what happened to me. And if you have a problem, just go talk to Jesus. It's not my fault.
We're talking this week on Voice of the Martyrs Radio with Dr. Hormoz Shariat. He is the president of Iran Alive Ministries. People in Iran don't trust the government. We've talked about that. They do trust you. They do trust your channel. And for 23 years, you've been broadcasting. I know you have a survey that something like 6 million people are watching every day.
Yes.
So they obviously trust what you're saying. They trust how you're communicating. What does that mean to you after all these years to be seen as a trustworthy source of information?
I see that as an honor by God, but responsibility. From beginning, I don't want to brag, but this is truth. I didn't get in television to be famous, to be admired. That didn't really attract me because from the beginning I knew that's foolishness. One hard point in my life was praying, God, why is these things happening and why should I continue? Satellite was almost gone at one point. And do you want me to continue this? I have no ambition to do it if you don't want me to it. I said, no, I felt in prayer. God says, no, I want to do it. And my favor is on you. What favor? I'm in trouble. I'm going out of business. I'm going well. Yeah, I'm going well. I was just, everything is bad. Why do you mean favor? And I felt the Lord tell me the favor is this, that the definition of favor is when people like you and you don't know why. That's favor. I don't know why, but people of Iran likes us. And they say, we feel your love over the airs. We feel your genuine love for us. We feel that. So love is powerful. The greatest weapon we have against Islam is love. Because Allah has 99 names, none of it is love. So love is powerful. That's why in 1 John it says, perfect love casts out fear. It's a spiritual warfare. And cast out the spirit of Islam by love. Mm-hmm. The spirit of Islam is the spirit of fear.
Amen. Yeah. We're talking today on Voice of the Martyrs Radio with Dr. Hormoz Shariat. I would encourage you in the archives at vomradio.net. We have had some past conversations with Dr. Hormoz. We actually had Dr. Hormoz and his wife sharing a little bit of their testimony, how he came to faith. His plan was not to be a satellite television pastor to the people of Iran. In fact, his doctorate is in engineering. He is a scientist by trade and by training. But I have seen you, Pastor Hormoz, with the Iranian people, and they have such a great love for you.
And I have a love for them. My PhD is in AI. I'm so excited.
Wow.
I'm so excited what's happening. I'm just looking, the AI is coming, and good and bad. But that's my field, and I'm planning to use that in ministry.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
As we finish up, we always want to equip people to pray. There are prayer warriors who listen to this show, and they're going to pray this week for Iran, for the country, for the church, even for government leaders there. How can we pray? Can you just give us some practical ways to pray for Iran this week?
Every Christian is in a spiritual warfare. All of us are. And when you step forward to serve the Lord, any of your listeners, that, you just say, I want to do something. I want to go serve in the kitchen, be an usher, whatever, small or big. You get in a higher spiritual warfare. The enemy wants to stop you. But when you confront the spirit of Islam, especially the Prince of Persia, Daniel 10, we are confronting Prince of Persia. So there is a high level of spiritual battle over our bodies, over our families. We need that prayer and unity. We do fast and pray constantly for these items. Our group is a fasting and praying group, leadership. We go through 21 days of fasting, and these are the items. Pray for our health, pray for our families, and pray for unity. The enemy wants to bring disunity and destroy us.
I hope that you will pray this week for Iran and for Dr. Hormoz and for the Ministry of Iran Alive Ministries. Dr. Hormoz, it is always such an honor to have you here on Voice of the Martyrs Radio. I so respect and appreciate your ministry. Thank you for being our guest this week.
Well, thank you, Todd. Your podcast is so amazing, full of content, and everybody who wants to not just be informed, but encouraged and inspired should listen to you.
Well, I appreciate that. Please come to our website, vomradio.net. We'll give you a link to Iran Alive Ministries. We'll give you a link to Dr. Hormoz's book, so you can get a copy of that. And you can also go back and listen to our previous conversations with him about what's happening in Iran, also about his personal testimony and ministry. This has been a great conversation here on Voice of the Martyrs Radio. I would encourage you to share it. Send a link to your pastor, send a link to a Christian friend who will also pray for Iran. And join us again next week right here on the Voice of the Martyrs Radio Network.